Okay, looks like we're live. All right, so once again, I'm so thankful for Sharetta, you joining us this evening. I am just going to give a quick little disclaimer and then we'll just launch into our interview. But on this evening of, I'm sure, a very exciting, very busy week for you. So thank you so much for joining us. And thank you to everyone who's watching as well. So just to introduce myself again for the last time this campaign cycle, my name is Michaela Lee. I use she, her pronouns, and I work at Lead, Ohio. And I've been so excited to be able to do this storytelling series with the Ohio Women's Alliance this year, which was really intended to uplift and highlight the stories of women of color who are running all over the state of Ohio. This candidate storytelling project is a collaborative campaign between our organizations, Lead Ohio and the Ohio Women's Alliance Action Fund. And it is a nonpartisan project with nonpartisan organizations. This project was an effort to uplift women candidates running across the state, regardless of political affiliation. And we are so grateful to all of the women who have taken some time out to talk to us this cycle. So I wanted to go ahead and give you the opportunity, Sharita, to introduce yourself and what's going on with you in your life right now. And, just tell us, what kind of brought you to this point. Why are you running? Why are you excited for this moment? Let's hear it.
Well, good evening, Michaela, and good evening to everyone watching. First of all, I am excited and honored to be here this evening to have this conversation with you all about my candidacy to become Lima's next mayor. A little bit about me: I was born and raised in Lima, Ohio. My family extends across 5 generations in this community, starting with my grandparents who moved here in their early 20s from the Deep South to work in Ohio steel mills. I am a lawyer, former criminal court magistrate, and currently the chief of staff for the city of Lima. And almost a year ago, November 11th of 2020, I announced my candidacy to run as Lima's next mayor. I am the a first time person who sought political office. I've never ran for office before, but I really ran for office because I deeply care about my community. And when I launched my campaign last November, I talked about the campaign not being about getting Sharetta Smith elected, but about what we can do together. And I am both inspired and excited about the thousands of conversations that I've been able to have, not just with Lima residents, but individuals that may not even necessarily live in this community, but own businesses in this community, have family in this community, and what they want to see in the future of Lima. And I've looked at that and developed really a platform about what my candidacy will be about. It'll be about what we can accomplish together around the issues that I've heard people say matters, which I've summed up to say, people want better housing in thriving neighborhoods. They want good jobs in a growing economy. They want stronger students and families, safer streets, and they want what I call better government, which is a government that is responsive to their needs, and a government that uses technology to move all of us into the 21st century and provide better services. So I'm excited as well to have this conversation with you tonight.
Awesome. Thanks so much. So it sounds like you've done a lot of work on the ground, kind of talking to Lima residents and, trying to hear what they are looking for in a mayor. And I know you've also spent some time, working in Lima in the government. I'm so sorry if you can hear that siren in the back. But that you've spent some time in this community and you really know Lima and its residents. What is something that you've learned, in this campaign differently than what you kind of engaged with on the official side?
I think one of the things that I've gained a greater appreciation of is the commitment to and the love that people have for this city. And although, we face some challenging times being a Rust Belt city, facing changes from a move from an industrial economy to a more information based, technology based economy, people are still hopeful about our future. And people still, no matter what challenges we face. They wake up the next morning, they roll up their sleeves, they get in a room with like-minded people, and sometimes people that are not like-minded, and come up with solutions that are best for our community and how we can move our community forward. And those are the types of conversations that I've been having, with residents, and they've been some, real tough conversations to, what are we going to do about, aging housing stock, or, what are we going to do to attract more youth into our community? But there have also been conversations that are hopeful and excited about the $65 million in investments we have going on in our downtown. About the fact that, from 2007 to 2019, overall crime in our community decreased by 36%. And so for me, we're at a great time in our community. And the more I talk to people, the more I'm in love with not just Lima, but its people.
That's incredible. That's really powerful. So I want to shift gears just slightly. I have a couple questions on this topic, so we'll just kind of take it as a bit of a conversation. But really just talking about the role of representation and inclusion and diversity. And so, you would be a historic candidate, not only for Lima but for Ohio. But you also, have a background and experience, I think, that is very like you have experience for this role. And so I want to know kind of what encouraged you to step up to the plate and to run, and what role did this piece about inclusion and representation play in that opportunity.
Yeah. So, for me, as I talked about earlier, I am a lawyer by profession. And so I've worked as a public defender. I spent 6 years as a criminal court magistrate, issuing arrest warrants, setting bonds, um, appointing counsel to individuals who could not afford an attorney. And I've spent the last 4.5 years really being up close and personal in city government, working as the chief of staff for our city. In that role, I've helped lead, the vision of our current mayor. I've administered our $38 million budget. I've managed our 400 plus workforce. I've worked on some really amazing projects, being able to work with the state of Ohio to have 3 of our census tracts designated as opportunity zones to secure investments. Hired the city's first chief technology officer, again, to move us into 21st century government. Work with our youth serving agencies to start a after school program that is in its third year and served over 100 students. But I've also, because this is my home and it's like 3 degrees of separation, I've also been the person who picked up the phone and talked to, if someone who either knew me or knew my grandmother about, why trash wasn't picked up, or there's a deer, and I'm in my backyard and I need someone to come get it. And I think, my candidacy, although it'll be a historic moment, I did not make the decision to run for mayor because I'll be the first woman or because I'll be the first African American. I made the decision to run for mayor because I have a love and a passion for this community, but also I believe that my professional experience, my education, I have a law degree, a bachelor's degree, a master's in business administration, my work experience. I worked in the private sector as well. I believe those things have qualified me for this role, and have prepared me for this role, because at the end of the day, the city of Lima is a strong mayor form of government, and the mayor is the chief executive officer. So you have to know how to run the day to day operations of an organization with 400 plus employees and a $38 million operating budget. I've been doing that for the last 4.5 years. And before that, I was in other leadership positions. So I'm prepared for this moment.
Yeah, and that's what really strikes you, and I'm sure I'm not the only one, who thinks this. That really strikes me as something so exceptional about your candidacy, is that you do seem so prepared, especially as a first-time candidate. And so, what is something, maybe a comment or advice that you would give to other women of color who, feel like they're prepared but don't know if they're quite ready to take that step?
I would say, let me first say, this is not an easy decision that I made, and it was certainly not something that I immediately came to saying, okay, you're ready. I think I read somewhere where, it takes women multiple times of being asked to run for public office before they finally say yes. And so for me, I don't want it to appear in one way that it didn't take several people asking me multiple times to run, because it really did. But I will say, to individuals that are considering a role, any role really in public service, whether that is school board or state representative or mayor, have a passion for the community that you're serving. Have an understanding of the work, and understand that the sum total of what brought you to the moment has prepared you for the moment.
Thank you so much for that. I appreciate it. Okay, so switching gears a little bit more, still kind of on the same topic. So obviously, we have seen, just a very interesting, couple of years with COVID, with racial unrest, with a lot of just things going on. That's been, a big, I think, eye-opening moment for a lot of people in the country. Where are you and your community in that? Is that something? I'm so sorry. My cat is in the back being an animal. Um, but, with this being a kind of year with a lot of different issues and topics that are coming up, especially with people on the campaign trail, how has that experience been for you? And what do you kind of look forward to addressing when uh, if you are able to be elected to office?
So, one of the things that I'm really proud of and excited about my candidacy is the diversity of the team that I've been able to assemble with folks who have gotten behind not just me as a candidate, but the vision that I feel like we built together and we all collectively share together. I will say that with respect to my campaign, we have a broad spectrum of individuals from all races, nationalities, age groups, and so on. And that to me represents community. Personally, my story is that, I was born and raised in the city. So I am, a city girl in that respect, but I attended school in the townships, in the rural part of our community, when in fact there was a pasture where cows graze directly across the street, from my school. And that experience allowed me to be in community, grow up in a community with people that were different from me, and know from real life experiences how you can work together. And I think I bring that with me, not just as a mayoral candidate, but also, I brought it with me as a lawyer. I brought it with me as a criminal court magistrate. I brought it with me as chief of staff, and ability to be able to build consensus and build coalitions of people that others may think do not agree. Um, that's not to say that Lima has not had its challenges. So, even last summer, June of 2020, with the racial unrest and in the midst of, George Floyd, we did have, you know, um, we did have initiatives that we put forth. We did revisit diversity within our community, even down to who serves on city boards. Our city council declared racism as a public health crisis. We did have marches. The thing with our marches, and I have to give a lot of kudos even to our local police department. They were out there, with the marchers, and it was very peaceful. And so I believe that, our community is one that, although we do have our challenges, I think that we are able to look beyond even our differences to do what's best for Lima. And I think my candidacy has represented that.
Absolutely. So for our next question, for all of these interviews that we've done a little bit of a fun oddball question. So the one today I've been so excited to ask for so long. So my question is about your guilty pleasure TV show. And for me, Um, I am very unfortunately proud to say that I really liked the show Glee, and I think it's extra funny because it's allegedly based in Lima, Ohio. It's about a school show choir thing based in Lima, Ohio, and it was a national phenomenon. It's kind of controversial, but I know that the real city of Lima is absolutely nothing like it was in the show. And so I thought that was really funny. I thought I'd bring that up to you in case you didn't know that you are going to be needing to watch the show so you fully understand like what is going on. It's a disaster, but that is my guilty pleasure. They have great songs. The cast is really talented, and they do covers of, or they did. This was like 10 years ago. Covers of really popular show or songs, but it is not something that a lot of people really enjoyed. It's something people liked to drag a lot. So um, I wanted to ask you, I'm sure you don't have a ton of time to binge watch, really terrible TV shows. So I'm sure you have a better palette than I do. But do you have a guilty pleasure TV show that you watch that, maybe is not super popular?
So I don't know about not being super popular, but with respect to guilty pleasure, I feel that way anytime I watch TV because there's always something I could be doing. But my absolute favorite show right now is This Is Us. Like, I love the Pearson family. I cannot wait to see what happens with season 6. And it's really my favorite show because to me, it really talks about, who we are as people, how we grow as community, how we relate to one another as family. And they deal with some really big issues. But I guess like all TV shows, they're able to come to some kind of resolution. At the end of the hour. But my tearjerker, feel good show right now in this season is This Is Us.
That's definitely the public servant's answer. I love that show, but it's very much like you have to be a good person to really like that show. I remember I think I watched it a lot in undergrad, probably around 2017, 2018, and it just got to the point where anytime they played the little jingle, I would just immediately start crying.
Mhm.
So yes, definitely a tearjerker there.
Mhm.
But a good choice, a very good choice.
Mhm.
Okay, so we're going to go ahead and wrap things up, but just wanted to give you kind of one last opportunity to share any message you might have for our viewers, or any last minute thoughts that you wanted to leave us with.
Just that growing up in this community, being a young person, a young mom, raising 3 children in this community, working my way, from entry level jobs to becoming an attorney to becoming, a magistrate judge to becoming chief of staff to even, now even being a mayoral candidate with the possibility in 6 days, being the mayor of the city that I grew up in. To me, it talks about the possibility of what's in all of us. Um, I guess that's why I like the show This Is Us because it's really about that one thing that we all have in common, and that is our ability as humans to transcend even what looks like the worst situation in life to end up, in a place that you never thought you would have been in. And I'm extremely grateful for that. I'm extremely grateful to the people that have been supportive of my candidacy, to the people that don't know me from Adam but believe in Lima too and believe in my vision. I've been honored to serve my city as the chief of staff, and I'm looking forward to, if successful, being Lima's next mayor and continuing to serve, what I call my village, the people that raised me, the people that created Sharetta Smith.
That's exciting and incredible. And we obviously have been so excited to work with you this cycle. So thank you so much for joining us this evening. I just wanted to make sure to plug, with this being our last interview, which I'm very sad about. I've loved doing this year, that the election is on Tuesday and it is the last couple days to either, get involved, support a candidate close to you, very far away from you, somewhere in Ohio, somewhere across the country, and then to make sure that we're getting out there to vote and making our voice heard. So just because we are, oh my gosh, less than a week away now. Just wanted to make sure that everyone, remembered that it is so critical to really get involved in this last week. It's such an important time. And, we have great candidates all across the state, including Sharetta in Lima, Ohio. And I appreciate everyone who's tuned in over this series. So thank you so much for joining us this evening, and good luck next week.
Thank you all.